Hey there, YouTube fam. It's Emma. Thank you so much for joining me for yet another yoga flow. This one is super fun. If you've been following my channel, you probably know I was traveling last week, so I have a yoga for travel that I posted last week where I was in beautiful Copenhagen, Denmark. I am back home in Phoenix, happy to be back in my routine, in my studio classes, which is where we are today. So let's go ahead and jump right into things. We're gonna get started on our backs today. You can grab blocks if you'd like, but you don't have to. I have 2 blocks. They're totally optional. So we'll get started on our backs with our feet flat on the mat and kind of wide, about the width of your mat. Let your knees fall in towards each other. And then I'm gonna bring my left hand to my heart, right hand to my belly. If that feels good for you, do the same, or just sprawl your arms. You might walk your shoulder blades a little away from each other and start to feel kind of your entire spine pressing into the mat, or at least resting nice and heavy on the mat. So this knock knee position should feel pretty nice on your lower back. This is great to do if you naturally have an arch in your back. A lot of times when we just lay down, we're arching our lower lumbar spine. So this can kind of help you to practice a flatter spine. It feels pretty nice. With every exhale, can you feel yourself arrive a little bit more onto your mat? Almost as if you're melting in or softening, getting heavier onto your mat. As you do that, start to take deeper breaths. Maybe even pausing a little bit at the top and the bottom of each breath. One more big breath on your own. Take your arms out wide like a T, and then just start to windshield wiper your knees a little bit side to side. You can go fast or slow. Then the next time your knees are off to the right, let's pause there. Then place your right foot on top of your left thigh or left knee. Instead of trying to press the knee down towards the mat, think about your left knee going forward towards the front of your mat. Left shoulder sinking nice and heavy. And release your right foot back onto the mat. Drop your knees over to the left. Then once you get there, place your left foot on top of your right thigh or right knee. But instead of just trying to push it down, think right knee going forward. You'll feel a stretch through your outer right hip, maybe even across your lower back. Right shoulder staying on the mat. Release your left foot onto the mat. Bring your knees back through center. Hug your knees into your chest and then just circle out the knees away from each other. And then towards each other. Hug your knees into your chest next time they're together. Squeeze. Grab behind your hamstrings and start to rock up and down your spine. If you want more of a challenge, avoid tapping your feet at the top. You'll just have to use your core muscles to stop you. Let's do one more full rock. And then the next time you come up, let's cross over the ankles and find a tabletop position. Take your time getting there. Stack your shoulders over your wrists and your hips over your knees. Spread your fingers out. On your inhale, arch your back, exaggerate your movement. Pull your chest forward and your shoulders back. On your exhale, as you push the breath out, round your back. Imagine looking for your belly button. Again, inhale, arch back, really exaggerate the movement. Exhale, round. Press the tops of your feet and your palms into the mat. And then take that a few more times here, really exaggerating these cat-cows. Breathing into all those spaces of your belly, your abdomen, your waist. And when you breathe out, emptying completely. Let's take one more round. meet back in a neutral tabletop and walk your hands forward for puppy pose. I like to grab the front of the mat and imagine pulling it forward. If that feels good, go for it. If not, forehead down, hips stay high. I'm going to press the tops of your feet down, especially on top of like the big toe mound, not so much the pinky toe mound. Feel your hips lift, tailbone flip up, length through your waist. If that's going well and you want more, chin to the mat. Melt your heart space down. Pull your inner shoulders back. Slide all the way forward onto your belly, nice and slow, Sphinx pose. Shoulders over elbows. Imagine trying to drag yourself forward. Plug your shoulders back. Slight pull of your chin towards your throat. Feel the back of your neck lengthen a bit. Press the tops of your feet down. Squeeze your legs. As you start to lower your chest down, just push the elbows off to the side so your arms are in a cactus shape. Now everything's gonna lift up. So arms lift and legs lift. You might like to make 2 fists. Imagine doing a pull-up, like your sternum's coming forward and the shoulders back. Can you crawl your ribs a little bit further forward, lengthen through your waist? Press your pubic bone down and then pull your chin in towards your throat. Point your toes, squeeze your back muscles for 3, 2, 1. Hands under shoulders, but keep your feet lifted. As you press your hands down, your feet will naturally come to the mat into your cobra pose. Your arms might have a micro bend or be straight. Your shoulders away from your ears, down and back. Tuck your toes, squeeze your low belly, and let's press back to downward facing dog. Send your hips to the sky. Adjust your hands and feet as needed if you need to pedal out your legs or shake out your head. If you have any wrist pain in downward facing dog, you can always grab blocks, or you might like to grab the outside edges of your mat with your thumbs on top. Now, depending, on your flexibility, even what time of day it is, what else you've done today, your heels may or may not reach the mat. Don't focus so much on getting the heels down, although they are trying to sink in that direction. Focus more on your hips and your tailbone lifting up nice and high, creating a V shape with your body. No need to hold your head up, just let that go, relax your neck. If your heels do touch the mat, try to lift your toes up. So you're pressing more through the heels of your feet, squeezing your legs. Let's tippy toe those feet. When you do that, try to hug the ankle bones in. Imagine the thighs pressing away from each other. So the thighs won't really actually do anything, but energetically you're thinking thighs out, ankles in, squeeze your belly. Take as many little baby steps as you can for your feet to come to the top of the mat. Once you get there, take your feet out wider, about the width of your mat, but make sure your toes are pointing forward. Relax your neck, let your head hang heavy. Anything that feels good with the arms can go here. So if you want to grab your elbows, that's what I like to do, or you could clasp your hands behind your head. You could also just let your arms hang heavy. Start to shift your weight a little bit side to side or sway gently. In this forward fold, can you imagine breathing all the way into your lower back? So you might have to put some more effort behind your breath. And then imagine pushing the breath all the way out. If you practice Ujjayi breath, start to seal your lips and feel these deep breaths, these intentional breaths in the back of your throat. If you've got opposite elbows, switch which arm is on top. Maybe even bend your knees a little bit more. Can you feel some space between the shoulders? Feel your lower back lengthen. And then release your hands. Your left hand will go down mat or block. Bend your left knee and reach your right arm up. Make a fist and roll out your wrist. Then half wrap your right arm behind your back towards your left hip crease. Actively press your left hand down as you peel your chest open to the right. Your spine is still flat, so tailbone going back, crown of the head going forward. Keep your half wrap as you rise all the way up to stand, and your left arm will reach up. Your left hand will come to the middle of your upper back. You've got a few options with your arms here. You can reach for fingertips like Gomukhasana arms. You could also use a towel or grab onto your shirt or sports bra. If none of those feel good, take your right hand and grab your left elbow for a tricep stretch. Whatever you're doing, we're all going to lean off to the right. Tuck your ribs in slightly and firm up your legs. Less grip with your toes. Inhale, come back up through center. Let's eagle wrap that left arm underneath the right arm. Lift your triceps away from your chest and lean back a bit. Squeeze your legs, firm your glutes, gaze up. Release your arms as you forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Right hand down, mat or block, right knee bend. Your left arm will reach up. Make a fist, roll out your wrist. Half wrap your left arm behind your back. Feel a gentle lean to the right as you peel your chest to the left. Collarbones expand. Keep your half wrap as you rise all the way up to stand. Right arm reach up. Right hand to the middle of your upper back. Same options. Fingers. Use a towel, sports bra, or shirt as a prop. Or grab your right elbow. Wherever you are, inhale. Exhale, lean it off to the left. Try to lean your skull back into your forearms. Pull your ribs down. Firm up your legs. Inhale, center. Release that and eagle wrap, right arm on the bottom. Elbows up and lean back. Release your arms as you forward fold. Turn your toes out, yogi squat. Feel free to sit onto a block. If you have any knee pain, coming halfway down is a great modification. Use your elbows to press your knees out, tailbone drop, and low back in. Avoid rounding into your low back. Gentle tuck of your chin, feel the back of your skull lift. Pull your belly button back and draw your waistline in. Plant your hands on the mat. Step or jump back to plank pose. Stack your shoulders over your wrists. Scoop your tailbone towards your heels and look down between your thumbs. Try to create more space between the mat and your chest. Shift your weight forward, inhale. Lower halfway, chaturanga, exhale. Inhale, cobra pose or upward facing dog. On your exhale, roll over your toes, find your downward facing dog. Feel free to adjust your hands and or your feet. Hide your heels behind your ankles. So you might even bump your heels out like a centimeter or two. That will help your inner thighs and your thigh bones press back. Lift your outer hips. Avoid flaring your ribs. Try to tuck the ribs in. When you do that, you'll feel your low belly, your transverse abs engage a bit more. Feel space across your shoulders, kind of across your lats, like you're hollowing out your armpits. Relax your neck. Let it hang. Lift your heels up and look forward. Step, or if you're ready, you can jump your feet to the front of your mat. On your inhale, lift up halfway. On your exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. Look up at your hands. And then follow your hands to your heart center. Either close your eyes or gentle gaze down at your thumbs. Feel the mat underneath your feet. Press evenly through all four corners of your feet. Feel your legs squeeze, pelvic floor lift, belly engaged. Feel your heart space. Feel your shoulders relax, and most importantly, feel your breath. Even and intentional breathing, maybe through your nose, ujjayi breath. Do your best to maintain this connection with your breath as we start to move. We'll take 3 rounds of Surya Namaskar A. Release your arms by your side, Samasthiti. Inhale, reach your arms up and look up. Exhale, forward fold. Feel free to bend your knees. Inhale, lift up halfway, Ardha. Hands on the mat, step back or jump back, Chaturanga. Exhale. When you finish your exhale, take your back bend. When you finish your inhale, then press back to downward facing dog. Imagine splitting your mat in half here. Active arms, active legs. Press the inner palm down between thumb and pointer finger. Little grip with the pads of the fingers can help alleviate pressure on your wrists. Lengthen your arms, lengthen your waist, and then notice your breath. Keep it even and full. Let's lift those heels and look forward. Step or jump to the front of your mats. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. Follow your hands to your heart center and release them by your side. Round 2, inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold. Push all the breath out, halfway lift. Hands down, step back or jump back, chaturanga. Following the rhythm of your breath, never in any rush to get to the next breath or the next pose. You want to allow your breath to set the pace for your practice. The movements will follow. Even full inhales and exhales. Can you hear your breath like an ocean wave? Lift your heels, look forward, step or jump to the front. Lengthen, inhale, and fold, exhale. Rise all the way up, reach your arms. Bring your hands to your heart and down by your side. Last time, inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold. Halfway lift. Palms down, step or jump back. Vinyasa. We'll meet in our downward facing dog. Maybe feeling a little bit more space, a little bit more ease this time around. Your heels may be sinking a little bit closer to the mat. Lift your heels up and look forward. Step or jump to the front. Lengthen, inhale, fold, exhale. Rise all the way up, reach your arms. Bring your hands to your heart and down by your side. Reach your arms up and twist off to the right. So right arm reach back, left arm forward. When you do this, your right hip wants to pull back. So drive your right hip forward, firm up your legs, press the inner edges of your feet down. Inhale, reach your arms up, and exhale, twist off to your left. Feel the backs of the hands press back and your left hip going forward. Avoid gripping with your toes. Inhale, both arms up. Exhale, bend your knees and sweep your arms back. Firm up your triceps. Then bring your hands to your heart center. Inhale. Exhale, prayer twist to your right. Hook your left elbow outside your right knee. Press your right palm down into your left palm. If you look down at your knees, make sure they're in one line. Sink your weight back into your heels. Lower your butt a little bit more. And release, forward fold. Grab one of your wrists behind your ankles. Release that and bend your knees again. This time, reach your arms up, Utkatasana. Then bring your hands to heart center and prayer twist off to the left. Less grip with the toes. Sink your hips a bit. Try to stack your elbows and get your sternum towards your thumbs. And release, forward fold. Grab your opposite wrist behind your ankles. Feel your tailbone lift. Imagine crawling your ribs down your thighs. Release that. Put your hands out in front of you. Lift your heels and bend your knees for toe stand. You can use hands on mat, hands on blocks, or hands to heart center. Hug the ankle bones in and squeeze your thigh muscles together. Try to stack your shoulders over your hips. Pull your belly button back. Feel the back of your skull lift. If you want a real challenge here, you can try to close your eyes. You'll feel a little bit more wobbly as you do that. Let's go traditional malasana or another yogi squat. Traditional malasana, garland pose, knees wide, hands forward. Your big toes stay touching, heels stay touching, and you're trying to sink your heels towards the mat. You might even walk your hands back underneath you, like you're gonna take a seat back into your hands. Otherwise, another yogi squat like what we did at the beginning is a great option. If you're going malasana and you wanna move on, you could even try to grab your heels. Hug your knees in and round your back. Tuck your chin in. Think one tight ball of energy for 3, 2, and 1. Hands on the mat. Maybe if you'd like to try bakasana, knees towards your armpits. Grip with the pads of the fingers. Make a shelf with your elbows. Make sure your knees go on the back of your arms, not wrapping around the outside. Look forward. Maybe one or both feet will lift up off the mat. When you get there, try to bring your feet to touch. That will help you engage your inner thighs and your lower abdomen. And then from here, you want to press a lot through the heels of your hands so you can shoot your feet back into your chaturanga. We'll all meet in downward facing dog. It's a pretty challenging transition. Once you get it, it feels a little bit more simple, but the steps to get there, it can feel really challenging. You can always start by trying to jump your feet back about 1/3 of the way, and then 2/3 of the way, and then all the way back. All right, let's go ahead and give that right leg a lift. Bend the knee, stack the hips, and move your right leg around. Big circles, small circles, or just bend and straighten at the knee joint. Inhale, big stretch. Exhale, step your right foot forward. Wiggle it a little bit to the right, and then let's come up to a high lunge crescent warrior. I like a gentle bend in the back knee to start so you can feel your hip points lift. Pull your ribs down. So your belly's engaged. Inhale. Exhale, twist off to the right. Right arm will reach back, left arm forward. Let's grip with your right toes. Take your right hand to your waist and reach your left arm up. If that's going well, your right hand can find the back of your left thigh. Big inhale. Exhale, left hand down inside your foot. Reach your right arm up. When you get there, think about leveling out your hips. Sink your right hip crease and pull it back a bit. Puff up your left leg like you're pressing the back of the knee up. Look up at your right hand. Then look in front of your mat and bump your hands forward for standing L. Feel free to use a block. Focus more on your left leg being straight than your right. Outer left hip drop, square yourself towards the mat. Avoid crunching into the right side body. Feel your right hip crease, pull back. Shiva squat, tap your left knee to your right calf. Your hands can stay on the mat or heart center. Gazing down, neck is neutral. Then let's take a nice big step back with the left foot and turn to the left, star pose. Make sure all 10 toes are pointing to the long edge of your mat. Bring your heels in and your toes out, goddess pose. Scoop your tailbone underneath you and firm up your lower abdomen. Relax your shoulders and press your knees outwards. Straighten your legs and rise all the way up. Turn to face the back of your mat for warrior 2. Line your left heel up with your right arch. Imagine pressing the knees away from each other, but trying to drag the heels towards each other. Flip your left palm and reverse warrior. Reach up and back. On your next exhale, windmill your hands to the back of your mat. Step your left foot back and chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. So you're facing the back of your mat in your downward facing dog. Give your left leg a lift, bend the knee, stack the hips, and move that left leg around. Avoid dumping into your low back and keep your right leg engaged. Squeeze your right thigh muscle. Big inhale, exhale, step left foot forward. Wiggle your right foot a little to the right so you have a wider base, and then reach both arms up to crescent warrior. Maybe starting with a gentle bend in the back knee. Feel your hips pull towards your ribs and vice versa. Inhale, exhale, twist to your left. Take your left hand to your waist and reach your right arm up. Now if that's going well, your left hand can come to the back of your right thigh. Big inhale, breath. Exhale, place your right hand on the mat close to your left foot, reach your left arm up. Focus on the hips here, even those out. Left hip, pull back and down, look up at your left hand. Now look forward and bump it into a standing L. Lift your right leg up behind you. Feel your left hip crease pull back as you drop your outer right hip. You want to square your hips to the mat, squeeze your belly, tap your right knee to your left calf for Shiva squat. Hands on the mat or heart center. Take a big step back with your right foot and turn to the right. Star pose. Inhale. Exhale, goddess pose. Heels in and toes out. Sit down a little bit lower than you would like to and rise all the way back up. To the front of your mat, warrior two. Turn your right toes out. Make sure your right heel lines up with your left arch. Flip your right palm and reverse warrior. Don't compromise by straightening into that right leg at all. Keep the bend. And exhale, windmill your hands to the front of your mat. Step your right foot back, chaturanga. Inhale your back bend. Exhale, downward facing dog. We'll meet there. So if you take my classes frequently, I try to mix up the styles quite a bit, but a lot of times we do this style where we go through the flow, then we'll go through it again, 1 breath per movement, then we'll go through it a 3rd time, once you kind of get the movement and the sequence down. So I guide you through the entire thing, but we're gonna be moving through that 1 breath per movement. Your breath pace might be faster or slower than mine, so feel free to modify, feel free to add poses in that you think would feel really nice here. Inhale, lift your right leg up. Exhale, step your right foot forward. Come up, crescent warrior, inhale. Twist to your right, exhale. Left arm reach up, inhale. Left hand on the mat, twisting, exhale. Standing L, take your time, inhale. Shiva squat, exhale. Big step back, star pose, inhale. Goddess pose, exhale. Straight legs rise. To the back of your mat, warrior two. Reverse warrior. Exhale, vinyasa, facing the back of your mat. Take your time, follow the pace of your breath. Then we'll go into the left side. Inhale, left leg lift. Exhale, step forward. Crescent warrior, inhale. Twist to your left. Right arm reach up. And right hand down. Standing L, inhale, take your time. Shiva squat. Big step back, star pose, inhale. Goddess pose, exhale. Rise and reach. To the front of your mat, warrior two. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, vinyasa, take it down. I'll guide you through this one more time. Of course, if you prefer to sit it out, grab a child's pose. Lift your right leg up and step forward. Crescent warrior. Twist to your right. Left arm reach up. Left hand down for the twist. Standing L. Shiva squat. Big step, star pose. Goddess pose. Rise back up. Warrior two to the back. Reverse warrior. And vinyasa. Last time, we'll do that on the left side. Left leg lift. Step forward. Crescent warrior. Twist to your left. Right arm reach up. Right hand down for the twist. Standing L. Shiva squat. Big step back, star pose. Goddess pose. Rise and reach. To the front, warrior two. Reverse. And vinyasa. Grab let's say actually a forearm plank. Let's go forearm plank, shoulders over elbows. Forearms are parallel, like the number 11. Try not to stick your butt up, scoop your tailbone towards your heels. Look down at your mat so your neck is neutral. Firm up your belly. Keep your breath. We'll be here for 3, 2, 1. Lower your hips down. Start to lower your chest down, and we'll bind our hands behind the back. Press the tops of your feet down to start. On your inhale, lift just your upper body. Gentle tuck of your chin. Lift your hands away from you. Think knuckles towards your heels. Switch the grip, opposite thumb on top, and lift your legs up. Point your toes. Can you lift your chest up a little bit more for 3, 2, 1. Release that. Let's go right arm out to the right and roll to the right. Step your left foot behind you. This should feel pretty nice. I love this shoulder stretch. It's also a nice pause right now between all of the hard work we've been doing. Flowing 1 breath per movement. And a plank pose. Let's go ahead and roll back onto your stomach. Left arm out to the left and roll to the left. Step your right foot behind you. Rest your head on the mat so there's less tension in your neck. And then roll back onto your stomach. Slide your hands under your shoulders and let's bring it up to a cobra pose. And press yourself back to downward facing dog. Let's meet there, downward facing dog. Take a nice big breath in and an audible sigh. Reseal your lips and lift your right leg up. Step your right foot forward towards your right thumb. Spin your left heel down and walk your hands 45 degrees to the left for downward dog lunge. Your feet are in a warrior 1. Your upper body's in a down dog. Squeeze your legs, sink your hips. Actively press through your palms just like you would in down dog. Imagine lifting the arch of your left foot. And then walk your hands over to the left for Prasarita Padottanasana. Try to line your fingertips up with your toe tips and think Chaturanga arms. Firm your legs, gentle bend in your knees. Squeeze your belly. Really focus on the exhales. Can you feel yourself arrive a little bit more into the pose with each breath out? And then bring your hands to your waist. Use your back muscles, core muscles, rise all the way up, flat spine, spin on your heels to face the back of your mat. If you want to grab a block, now's the time to do it. Spinning on your heels to face the back of your mat. Grab the block in your right hand if you're using it. Shorten up your stance a bit. Think pyramid pose with your legs. Inhale, reach your right arm up with or without a block. Reach forward and then down. We're going into revolved triangle. So if you're using a block, it should go on the inside of your foot. If you're not using a block, your hand can go on the outside of your foot. Tug your left hip back and then maybe reach your left arm up. Notice your hips like to swing off to the left, but you want to try to lengthen your left side waist. So you try to pull your left hip crease back and then imagine someone is pressing both of your outer hips in towards each other. You can shift some weight back into your right leg. That's going to be your anchor leg. Look down, remove the block, and step your feet together, forward folds. Bend into your knees for Utkatasana, chair pose. Eagle wrap, your left arm under your right arm. Now lift your triceps away from your chest and your left leg over your right leg for eagle pose, Garudasana. Soften your inner thighs and pull your left hip back. Imagine sliding down a wall behind you. So you want to lean your shoulders back, not forward. Pull your ribs down. Inhale. Exhale, crunch your elbows towards your knees and round your back. Try to parallel your forearms with the mat. At any point, feel free to release your arms. Let's try our best to keep the arms as we go into Eagle 3. Send your left leg back, keep your eagle arms, and keep those arms as long as you can while you dive yourself down, diving eagle. Your little eagle beak, your fingertips going closer to the mat. At any point, feel free to put your hands on the mat instead for standing splits. I like a gentle bend in the right leg, a little twist over the right leg for 3, 2, 1. Hands down, standing splits. Take a nice step, left foot behind right foot, pinky toes kiss, and walk your hands to the right for a moment. Relax your neck, inhale, and exhale. Walk your hands back through center. Block if you want inside your right foot. Big step back, left foot, and open it up to a side angle pose. I like a block or elbow to thigh. If you're dumping forward, you definitely need to modify the pose, which is not a bad thing, but you don't want to be dumping forward here just to get your hand down. You kind of want think about your body being in between 2 panes of glass. So the hips are kind of stacked, shoulders stacked. Now, just straighten into your legs for triangle pose. You might need to bump your back foot up a little bit, but your foot alignment should be correct already. Right heel lining up with left arch, triangle pose. Gentle micro bend in the knees is great. Let's bring the left hand to the waist. Grab your block if you're using it and bump it into a half moon pose. Stack your left hip on top of your right hip, left shoulder on top of your right. Reach your left arm up. Gaze down is easier, gaze up is harder. Flex your left foot and squeeze your right leg. So the right thigh muscle hugging onto the thigh bone. Think about squeezing the glute muscles together to help you externally rotate your hips. Now take a nice generous step back with your left foot. Come back to your side angle just for a moment, and then we're going koundinyasana at the front of the mat. Big bend in your left knee. Flex your right toes. You can open your arms. You can place your hands on the mat. If your left heel doesn't meet the mat, that's okay. You might be hypermobile, so this is a lot of flexion in your ankle joint. So if you can't do this, it doesn't mean you're inflexible at all. You can always lift your heel up to modify. Just keep this external rotation through your right leg. Let's pivot towards the front of the mat and drop your right knee. Reach both arms up to a low lunge. And prayer twist off to the left. Hook your right elbow outside your knee, prayer hands together, stay there or tuck your back toes, and pick that right knee up. Just like we did in the beginning, focus on evening out the hips. Sink your left hip down and back and puff up your right leg. Place your hands on the mat, right hand down, roll to the outer edge of your right foot. Now, you'll either come into a side plank on the right or a wild thing by stepping your left foot behind you. Send your hips to the sky. And flip that right around. Step your left foot forward. Walk it over to the right, wide leg forward fold. So you're in a wide leg fold facing the right side of your mat. I want you to keep your left foot exactly as it is. Slide your right foot to meet your left foot. You're still facing the side of your mat. Bend your knees for your toe stand. So your knees are pointing over the right side of your mat. Now, we're going to point all 10 fingers towards the front of the mat. To do this, you kind of need a deep prayer twist to the left. Hook your right elbow outside of your left knee. All 10 fingers pointing to the front of the mat. Now, if you're familiar with side crow, Parsva that's where we're going. You can try the pose or not. You need to get your left thigh high up onto the tricep, otherwise it's going to be too challenging. If you've got that, start to shift your weight forward. Your face gets pretty close to the mat. Hug your knees together or start to split your legs up for flying splits. 3. I like to look off to the right. 2. 1. Step or jump your feet back, chaturanga. Inhale to up dog, and exhale to downward facing dog. Now that's a very challenging pose. I'll try to give you some additional tips when we do it on the other side. Let's meet in our downward facing dog. Reconnect with your breath. Lift your left leg up and step your left foot forward. Spin your right heel down and walk your hands 45 degrees to the right for downward dog lunge. Your feet are in warrior one, your upper body's in down dog. Think about pressing into the palms and hollowing out your armpits. Walk your hands over to the right, wide leg forward fold. You can grab your big toes or your ankles. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold and pull. With every exhale, can you arrive a little bit more into the pose for 3, 2, 1. Bring your hands to your waist, flat spine, rise all the way up to stand. Again, if you want to block, now's a good time to grab it. Spin on your heels to face the back of your mat. Shorten your stance a bit by bumping your left foot out and up. Grab a block in your left hand. Right hand to your waist, reach your left arm up, inhale. Forward and down for revolve triangle. If you've got the block, make sure you're going inside the foot. Tug your right hip back and then maybe reach your right arm up. So your hips stay in one position, like someone's holding your hips exactly where they are, and you're twisting from the torso. If it feels okay on your neck, you can look up at your right hand for 3. Hips a little left, 2. 1. Right hand down, remove the block if you're using it, and step your feet together, forward fold. Bend your knees, Utkatasana. And eagle wrap your right arm under your left arm. Lift your triceps away from your chest, and then your right leg over your left leg for Garudasana, eagle pose. Take a moment, get it set up, tug your right hip crease back. Keep lifting your elbows, avoid arching your back, pull your ribs down, inhale. Exhale, now drop your elbows towards your knees and round your back. Squeeze your belly, parallel your forearms with the mat. Unwind just your legs, eagle 3. Feel your left hip crease pull back and your outer right hip drop. Keep the arms as long as you can. Start to dive your eagle beak towards the floor with a little twist to the left. At any point, feel free to place your hands on the mat. I like to point the right toes here and put a gentle bend in the standing leg. We'll meet in standing splits in 3, 2, 1. Hands on the floor. Step your right foot behind your left foot so your ankles are crossed and walk your hands off to the left. Drop your head, big inhale, and exhale. Walk your hands back through center. Optional block inside your left foot. Take a big step back with your right foot and open it up to a side angle pose. Avoid dumping forward. Make sure your left heel is lined up with your right arch. Scoop your tailbone towards your right heel. And then straighten into your left leg. If you need to bump up your stance a bit, let's go triangle pose. Gentle bend in the knees is great. Avoid gripping with your toes. Pull your ribs in. Right hand to your waist, half moon pose. Left hand, grab a block if you want. Shift your weight into your left leg. Make sure your toes don't change directions. You want to keep them pointing towards the back of the mat. Squeeze your upper left thigh where it meets your hip. Squeeze your glute muscles together. That will help the external rotation of your hips. Flex your right foot for 3, 2, 1. Big step back, right foot, and come all the way to the front of your mat. Skandasana, flying monkey. Again, heel down is optional. Heel up is a great modification. Make sure this left leg is externally rotating. The inner thigh going up. Maybe even lift your hips a bit. Try to press your low back in. And then pivot around to the front of your mat. Runner's lunge. Drop your left knee and reach your arms up. Take a prayer twist off to the right. Take a moment to wiggle into it. Press your right palm down into your left palm. Once you've got that, you can stay or tuck your back toes and pick that knee up. Focus on leveling out the hips. Right hip crease, sink and pull back. Your right knee is pressing out into the elbow and vice versa. Puff up your left leg for 3, 2, 1. Release that twist, left hand down. Either side plank on the left or wild thing, right foot stepping behind. So either side plank or wild thing with the left hand on the mat. Gradually flip it right back around, step your right foot forward and walk it over to the left. So you're in a wide leg forward fold facing the left side of your mat. Keep your right foot exactly as it is. Just slide your left foot up to meet the right foot. So your feet are together. Bend your knees for toe stand. You're still facing the left side of your mat. Heels are lifted. Now think prayer twist to the right. Hook your left elbow outside of your right thigh. Point all 10 fingers towards the front of your mat. As you can see here, I need to get this right thigh nice and high up into that left tricep. If I'm too close to the elbow, the pose is going to be way too challenging. So I've got to get that deep twist first. Then I don't really want to use my right elbow as a crutch. I actually want this, my left tricep and my right thigh, to be my only point of contact. But if I'm just learning the pose, I might use my right elbow as a bit of a crutch and shift my weight forward. My face is really close, just a few centimeters from the mat. Stay there or split your legs open. And then again, like I mentioned, eventually you don't want to use this right elbow at all. I like to look off to the left for 3, 2, 1. Step or jump your feet back. And we'll meet in downward facing dog. No worries, not a lot left here. Let's go ahead and actually lift the heels, step or jump through to a seated position. Seated position. And then go ahead and take your right ankle on top of your left thigh, like a figure 4. Bend your left knee. We're going to do seated figure 4. Scoot your butt closer to your heel for more sensation. I like hands behind me. That helps me to remember not to round my spine. So think low back in, chest forward. Flex your right toes. Kind of keep this shape. Just place your left foot outside of your right glute and right foot on the mat for Ardha Matsyendrasana, seated twist. Both sitting bones on the mat. If this is too much, left leg can go straight. Twist off to the right. Try to get your right sitting bone on the mat. Press the big toe mound of your right foot down. Look over your right shoulder for 3, 2, 1. Unwind, counter stretch to the left. Place your hands off the left side of your mat and do a little push-up position shape. Press it back up. Now Gomukhasana. Keep your right knee on top. I like to kind of shift the weight forward, use my hands to push the right knee more on top of the left knee, and then take my seat back. You want to get this right sitting bone back on the mat. I like to grab onto the feet to keep them from moving. If that doesn't feel good, you can always release. If it looks still more like your seated twist, that's okay. Focus less on how the pose looks and more on how it feels. If you're sitting up tall, avoid rounding your back. Think low back in. Otherwise, you can go ahead and walk your hands forward for 3, 2, and 1. Walk your hands back towards you. Uncross your legs and place your feet on the mat. Your hands go behind you for reverse table or a bench pose. Lift your hips up. Maybe drop your head back. Take a lion's breath. Inhale. Tongue out. Lower your hips down. Extend your right leg. Cross your left ankle over your right thigh and then rebend your right knee for your seated figure 4. I like hands behind me. Avoid rounding your back. So pressing your low back in, flex your left toes. If you need less, you want to just widen. Move your butt back away from your right heel. Kind of keep this shape, but place your right foot outside of your left glute, left foot on the mat. Seated twist. You want to try to get your left glute down as you twist off to the left. Hook your elbow, press the big toe mound of your left foot down. Try to gaze over your left shoulder for 3, 2, 1. Unwind and counter stretch. Place your hands off the right side of your mat, push yourself down and back up. Now Gomukhasana. Again, I like to shift the weight a little forward, actually lift my glutes, then kind of stack the knees a little bit better and drop my feet back. Then I can use my hands to push that left knee more on top of the right knee. Try to get this left glute back down to the mat. If you're sitting up tall, avoid rounding your back. You might have to even engage your abs a bit, or you can walk your hands forward for 3. Breathe into those outer hips. 2. And 1. Walk your hands back towards you, unravel your legs. Let's go legs extending this time, reverse plank. Hands behind you, hips up, your legs are straight. Toes towards the mat, inner thigh spiral down, puff up your chest, maybe a lion's breath. And then lower your hips down and lie all the way down onto your back. We'll do 2 back bends here. So bend your knees with your feet flat on the mat. Make sure your toes point forward and your arms are by your side. Glue your low back to the mat and feel your transverse abs. Keep that tuck of your pelvis and lift your hips up. Squeeze an imaginary balloon between your knees that you don't want to pop or drop. Heels are the heaviest. Little pressure through the big toe mounds of your feet. And then no gripping into the toes. 3, 2, and 1. Slowly lower your hips down, take a breath. Back bend number 2, same thing, or if you're ready for up bow, hands by your head, fingers point towards your shoulders. Again, toes pointing forward, lift your hips up first like bridge, press into your hands. If you've never done this pose before, this might not be the best time to try. You might want to try with a teacher present in person. You can always start by learning it on the top of your head. You want to make sure your toes point forward to protect your knees. You'll feel your inner thighs more that way. We'll be here for 3. Relax your neck, let it hang heavy if you're in upward facing bow. 2. And 1, slowly lower yourself back down and hug your knees into your chest. Draw some clockwise circles with the knees, massaging out your low back. And counterclockwise. All right, let's take a happy baby. Knees to armpits, grab your feet or ankles. Pull your tailbone back down towards the mat. Feel every single vertebrae flat, pressing down, nice and heavy. Maybe a gentle tuck of your chin. You could rock a little bit side to side. And release that. Let's take a nice full body stretch. Extend your arms, point your toes. Hug your knees in one more time. Squeeze. Let's take those arms out wide like a T and then just drop your knees off to the left. If you want to cross your legs or do any funky twist, go for it. Knees off to the left and look to the right. Go ahead, bring your legs back through center and take your knees off to the right, look to the left. Slowly bring your knees back through center. Give yourself a big squeeze. And Shavasana. Let your body relax. Take some time to get into a comfortable position. Release any control over your body, your muscles, and your breath. Allow your breath to be natural. The thoughts come and go. See if you can observe them and then let them pass. Can you feel yourself arrive more into stillness with every single exhale? We'll be here for a few rounds of breath. If you have time to stay for a few minutes, you might like to pause the video, meditate, and join back in when you're ready. Slowly start to bring some awareness back to your fingers, your toes. Notice your next breath. When you're ready, lengthen, extend your arms overhead, point your toes. Feel that revitalized, refreshed life force prana moving through your body. Hug your knees into your chest and roll onto your right or left side. Through the practice of yoga, we kind of cleanse, purify our energy, our prana. So the poses help, the breathing, meditation, all those things help. Gradually make your way up to a comfortable seat, leaving you feeling refreshed, energized. Your energy feels a little bit calmer, cleaner. Let's bring the hands to heart center. Take a nice big breath in and let that go. Bow your head. Thank you so much for sharing your energy and your practice. Namaste. Thank you guys for choosing to practice with me. I know there's lots of options out there. I so appreciate it. If you like this class, give it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Share it with your family and friends who you think would like my channel. I so appreciate it. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you back next week.